Take Two Live, YouTube Monday. Oh my goodness,
All right.
y'all. Let me know if you can hear and see as you come in. This, my friends, is Erica Teal. What is Erica Teal doing here? Who is Erica Teal? Oh my gosh. So this is our third attempt at starting a YouTube Live today, and we have some people coming in. Can you see us? Can you hear us? We have been having some tech issues this morning, along with a little flight delay. I got up at 2:30 this morning from California to fly to Denver, my favorite. Love it. You'll learn that improv tool. Can you see us? Can you hear us? Yes, Jody. Thank you. Yay. Yay. Oh my goodness. Whew. I need to take a minute to get aware of my nervous system. Its excitement level is through the roof with this person here. My friends, this is a beloved woman who can and will, if you participate in some of the things she has to say, will change your life. No pressure. No pressure.
Thanks.
Yeah. Erica Teal is a teacher of improv, not just any prov of not just any improv, but improv for introverts. Oh my gosh, I'm not an introvert, but I took her classes and I loved them. So today we're going to be talking with Erica. You'll learn a little bit more about her in a second, but we are going to be talking about how to use some of the basic tenets and foundational principles of improv to help you on your journey of healing, growth, happiness, how to become a nervous system ninja, my friends, somebody who's confident in their ability to cope with the uns of life, the unexpected, the unpleasant, the unwanted, the unknown. Improv, my friend, is a wicked, wicked tool in your toolbox. So everybody, where are you tuning in from? Tune in and chime in, then you get tuning. We've got Jody and a few other folks here. Who's here? What's your name? What do you know about improv? What do you want to learn about improv? Please feel free to put in all of that or none of that or some of that in the comments. And we're going to hear from Erica Teal. Who are you and why are you here?
Well, thank you so much for the invitation to be here. I really appreciate it. So my name is, of course, Erica Teal, and I found improv, in 2005. So it's been 18 years. And I wasn't always an improviser. In fact, I found improv in my mid-40s. So that was an interesting story, which I'm sure we'll get into. But up until then, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I did some volunteering in different capacities, and I've taken some classes on self-growth, and that's always been a passion of mine, to learn the spiritual implications of life and learning, so I can make sense of everything that comes my way and incorporate it so it doesn't get me down. I don't like being gotten down for too long. Of course, it's normal to hit the unexpected, and it can rock your world. And at the same time, there's a way eventually out of that and to find myself in a better space than I began. So I wouldn't choose that avenue necessarily. However, this is how life works. And so when I came across improv, it was like massive, improvise, don't plan. So it was a good match, even though it didn't feel so great in the beginning.
Like any tool, it doesn't feel good when you first start to use it.
Right.
It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. The tendency is to go back to what you know, but it sounds like what you knew was more unpleasant than the learning of improv, because you stuck with it now for 20 years or so.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you stumbled into improv, and then when did you start teaching improv? Like, how does one go from learning to teaching?
Yes, that's a very good question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go back to how I found improv. Really, improv found me. Alan Arkin was doing a workshop in our church, and so they were advertising it. I didn't even give it a second glance, because I didn't know what improv was. I knew nothing about it. I knew I loved Alan Arkin, but I didn't know what he was teaching. And so I got a call from our events director, and she said, we need a few more people because he needs a minimum of people. And if you take it, I'll take it. And I said, well, okay, I'll take it. And I said, but I don't even know what improv is. And she said, none of us do. And I thought, okay, I'm in good company. And sure enough, there were about 25 of us who took that class. And I loved it. It was very easygoing. Alan was very easygoing with it. He was there in his Birkenstocks and his untucked shirt. And he was just very casual about teaching it. He said, we're here to have fun. Don't worry about getting it right. And don't try to make me laugh. Don't try to be funny. And don't try to impress me. And I thought, I cannot impress you. That will be easy. So I just dived in, and it was fun, and it was games, and it was playful. And that whole weekend was just really wonderful. And then I thought, well, I want to do more of this. And so I went down to take a class, and this was at the Impulse Theater, which I don't think is in existence anymore. And they said, the first 5 classes are classes. The 6th one is a performance for your friends and family. And I instantly felt my heart just close, and I instantly went to my head because I thought, oh no, now I have to impress people. Now I have to be funny. Now I have to, people are not going to pay. They're not going to pay $2 for a student show and not get some kind of fun and enjoyment out of it. And I would spend the next 6 years trying to find my way back up into just trusting the fun, trusting the joy in the moment. And that was a long 6 years. So I had a real love-hate relationship with it. It was not fun.
It sounds like, first of all, what is improv for people that don't know? What is improv?
So improv is doing anything at all, really. It can be on stage or it can just be in real life, doing something without a script and accepting the unknown. So it's not preparing and acting. It's not memorizing any lines. It's just dealing with what is before you and responding to that. And typically you'll have you'll be on stage if you choose to perform it, and you will get a suggestion from the audience. And whatever they say, you go with it. And then you start making things up and making it into a scene. So you're really flying by the seat of your pants. You're depending on your classmates to join in this venture of the unknown. And in classes, when you're learning, then you're taking the unknown into the games. So it's the incremental way of learning how to do what you would do on stage, whether you take it to the stage or not.
So for those of you watching, 2 questions. A, have you heard of improv before? Yes or no? And B, why do you think I'm bringing Erica in to talk about improv on a channel that's about becoming a nervous system ninja, devoted towards healing and growth? Why am I bringing in Erica? Really curious to hear your thoughts about that. So Erica, it sounds like improv is a way to learn how to improvise life. You can choose to do it on a stage or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you fly by the seat of your pants in a way that lets you, with skill development, reps, training, practice, have more fun and joy and playfulness in life. Am I getting that right?
That's exactly right. And it seems really scary, and it was really scary for me in the beginning. And through those reps and everything, then you start understanding what it takes to be able to be in the moment with tools to back you up. What are the simple things I can do to move this situation forward or to not fall apart?
You're making me think about how many times how many reps I've had in my own nervous system performing at life without knowing I was performing. I was in some character of like the hyperachiever, the people pleaser, the socially anxious, awkward, traumatized girl. I'm not okay. I'm flying by the seat that this is my character, but it's who I am and it's how I am. And I get lost in that character. And I'm lost now because I had a point.
You've been up for a day.
I have, to my credit, I have been up since 2:30 and it's 11 a.m. Because I was on a flight. But this idea that you can, here's how I got out of that character that I didn't even know I was in, which was creating a lot of dis-ease for me in my physical and mental health. It's important. Social well-being, right? The character that I was playing that I didn't know I was playing, that facade of Renee. When you're talking about improv, it's reminding me that that was one of the things that I took away was like, oh, this is like a game and I can learn the rules. Like in a way, improv has these rules to play the game of life instead of just get by, instead of survive, instead of like waiting for life to end or waiting for the next thing or trying to fast forward remote control through your life. And so I'm like the rules of life. Tell me if you agree with this. It seems like the rules of life, the rules of improv, if you know the rules, it creates a sense of safety that allows you to play more in the present moment as it's unfolding. And then you need less control of external life things.
Yes. I look at it as sort of like a structure. I can go to these things that I know. It's like, how can I remind myself, yes, I'm in a scary situation or an awkward one or something that seems very terrifying or annoying or not right. And how to get back to that structure is what helps me. If I can remember those principles of improv, that helps me go there, and it helps me focus then on something instead of like all this, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I can focus there, and then I can take my steps forward. Otherwise, before I was just like, oh no, and I would just stay in oh no for a very long time.
Oh no, your version sounds like my version of, oh God.
Same thing.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a couple comments from people. Brian has heard of improv, and so has Karen and Jody and Scott. Improv comedy stage. Yes, there is definitely comedy stages for improv. And Brian's heard of it as different tools for increasing life flexibility, because a nimble nervous system is a flexible nervous system. So you nailed that, Brian. Jody is familiar with improv, and she loves that it teaches you another way to react by allowing you to have some control. And that's exactly what is so beautifully counterintuitive and paradoxical, by having a sense of these rules and a sense of control over remembering them and accessing them with lots of reps. When I have that control, I need less control. And that then lets me have a more playful nervous system, because it's flexible and not so rigid. And Scott says being around humans is a constant improv ride.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to kind of ask, you started with you learned improv, but you didn't need to perform. And then you did need to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I want to make it clear that you can do improv without performing.
Yes.
Right? You can just perform or enjoy the stage of your life, drama, be it tragedy or comedy or whatever it is in the moment, right? Your life drama can become more fun if you know the rules of improv. But you went from I don't perform to I do perform. And did you say it took you 6 years to get comfortable with that?
Yes. And I think it was because I didn't believe, I just magically appeared in this class with Alan, and it went fine. And he actually said, Erica, don't take lessons. Don't take lessons. It's like, how do I then do this? If I'm not taking a lesson, what do I do in my mind? I think what he was saying, don't take lessons to learn that take you out of this innate thing that you have been doing. Don't try to break it down. So that was that thing. And so for 6 years, I kept asking my teachers, and poor teachers, poor Eric. So I would ask, so I'm not doing well in this, I don't think. And he's like, you're doing fine. I said, I don't really, what makes it funny? And he said, well, and you be in the present moment, you make your scene partner look good, and da, da, da. I was like, But what makes it funny? Because I kept thinking, these people are so funny and I don't know how they're finding the funny. And I refused to really take that in until I decided, I thought, why do I keep driving downtown to take these classes and performances and whatnot? I either need to quit and just say, you know what, that was an interesting thing, or I need to move on and I don't know what to do. God, give me a sign. And somebody had given Roger the book, The War of Art. And it's a little book by Stephen Pressfield. And I thought, I wonder what this is. And I opened it up. I had no idea what the book was about. And the thing I read was, if there's something that you've been wanting to do and you don't do it, your soul will not evolve in the way it was supposed to this lifetime. I was like, well, that's pretty clear. And that's the dumbest book I ever read. So, but I decided that was like a turning point for me. I decided I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to just start fresh. I just need to start fresh. And so I took a class from Joshua Kirk, and it was called the Improv Clinic. And it was 4 classes and 4 performances. So I got feedback after every single one, all of us did. And it began to make sense then. And then I was able to then take it to the stage, and like, it was okay. I'm bringing those principles that all my other teachers were trying to get into my head, and I was not paying attention. So that's when it began to become more comfortable and enjoyable. That unknown began to be like, oh yeah. So it was very different.
It sounds like a couple things, Erica. The first thing I'm hearing is your most natural state as a human is actually very capable of doing improv. And you can get in the way when you're trying to control it, when you're intellectualizing it, and really like be a good girl, get the rules, what makes it funny.
Right.
And so it's like it sounds like your natural state is actually really good at improv. You learned what got in your way and made you bad at improv. And then it took time and reps and exposure to the uncomfortable to kind of reconnect with your original state of knowing. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
And you're right. I was looking for the formula, the structure. I needed to do this and this and this and this equals funny. And what I didn't realize is that the structure is really open and fluid, although the rules will help you get there. But I was just looking for that A, B, C, D instead of the A, Z, Q, skip, comma. It's all over the place. And what do I do in those moments? And once I got comfortable with understanding that, then it was like, throw me anything. It's going to be okay.
So it sounds like if you can embrace the rules, know them, and then hold them flexibly and fluidly, then that will maybe lessen your learning curve from 6 years down.
Yes, nobody needs to take 6 years. That's my stubbornness. Exactly. And, and you had asked me, which I didn't answer a while ago, how I got into teaching it and I was still in I don't get this whole thing when I started teaching it. Some friends and acquaintances found out that I took improv and they were like, she speaks, because it was so quiet. And so they began to come down, see shows, things like that. And they were like, we want to learn. Will you teach us? I'm like, I don't know anything about it really. And they go, oh, please, we want to take it from you. And so I put together a 1.5-day course to start with, and just did the games I enjoyed. And I began to see how they did relate to life, to everyday life pretty early on. So that's how I started teaching. And I started teaching maybe 2 years after I started taking it. So it was early on. And I learned as I went as well. And I learned from how to deal with them and how to deal with myself and how to explain and how to open it up and make it just really, really easygoing.
So you didn't take a class, you didn't get a certification,
No.
You didn't go to X, Y, and Z.
No.
Locate you sort of followed the invitations that life was giving you, and you improved along the way.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Tell me again the name of the quote from the War of Arts, Pressfield. What was the quote?
If there's something you want to do and you're not doing it, your soul will not evolve in the way it was intended this lifetime.
Okay, YouTube Live, here's your chance to share for your growth, for your learning. Let's do a little improv. Share, what is the thing that your soul is longing for? What is it longing to do? And consider this an invitation. We'd love to see in the chat what you have, but it's really nice to kind of think about that and hold that as we go through these rules and how you can use improv. Maybe think about that thing that your soul is longing for and calling you to do. And maybe you could walk out of here with a tool and a thought, a direction, and a new strategy on how to get there. Scott is a motorcycle racer and a blues musician. My friend, I did not know that about you. That's amazing. And I wonder if blues is as much improv as jazz. I'm not as expert yet in music as I'd like to be, but I love that you're wildly familiar with improv, and the unknown is a blast. What a cool possibility, my friends. The amount of people that suffer and struggle in terror with the unknown. Like, here's a little permission slip from Erica, from Scott. Improv, the unknown, it can be a blast. That's amazing. And yeah, how Scott is a blues musician. Blues is just as much improv as jazz. Life, the world plays music if you know how to listen. And your soul is an instrument that wants to play in the part of a bigger orchestra, right? And that's painful when we're not honoring the gifts of our system and our soul and how it wants to live and contribute in the world. So I'm curious, my friends, what's your soul longing for? Because that call could be your soul aching to contribute to the tapestry of life. Had Erica not followed her soul calling, even though she wanted to throw the book across the room, I wouldn't be here today with her saying yay about so many more things in my life, saying to a flight delay this morning, this is my favorite, a lost car ticket. This is my favorite. I love it. I love it. Yes. Margaret, painting. I go to classes. I rarely give myself time and permission to spend time on this at home. Again, the unknown. Oh, thank you, Margaret. Who else? What else? What is your soul calling you to do? And let's maybe go next into some of these improv, like skills and tools and rules. And you can think about, how could I use this to kind of like unveil a little more of my soul in the world? Okay, improv, rules, structure. We had talked about a few, but I would just like, let's have you do broad strokes, all the ones you can think of, and then we'll dive deeper into a select few.
Well, the first one, if you've ever heard of improv at all, is the key. It's yes and. That's a big one. I love that one. Making your scene partner look good. That's another big one. Being in the present moment. Listening to exactly what they're saying, and reading the person, their face, their tone, their cadence, all of that, really paying attention to that. And not being stuck. I would say that's a negative way of saying it, but just finding freedom in the fun, finding the freedom in whatever is there, instead of like, oh no, it's just rub those hands together. It's like, oh goody, what's going to come of this? It's like changing a mindset as you go, as you're in the craziness of it all.
The rules that she's talking about are great. The one that sticks out in my mind that may or may not be a direct rule, but supports be present, make your scene partner look good, is eye contact. Eye contact.
Definitely.
Like whenever I've been on a stage or don't know and I go into a freeze response, it's like, okay, I got to find you and like anchor in. And it's funny because we're talking about the soul today, and like the eyes are the window to the soul. And when I'm lost and confused, I just organize myself by making eye contact with my scene partner. It's like, oh, there you are, Peter. It's that line from Hook, but like, oh, there's my truth. There's my soul. There's the moment and my present connection to it with and through the other person.
That's really a good point. And that's one reason during COVID, I didn't teach online, because I was like, how am I going to find these people in there and all these blogs? So for me personally, I couldn't do that. I know other people did great jobs and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, like the humanity and the strain that put on so many people with COVID. And I admire and respect you for staying true to what you knew was true for you and what worked for you, right? Trying to force yourself into something that isn't authentic and doesn't work for you.
No.
Ultimately doesn't yield great results. Okay, so we've got these rules, and I'm hearing these gorgeous responses about soul expression, and I'm seeing already a theme: painting, writing, and writing, right? So this creative endeavor, right? Jody loves and wants to share more life stories with others so they can connect and be seen. Yes, storytelling is the deepest way to get into someone's brain and nervous system and share your deepest self. And it's that soul to soul connection. Story is such a great way to do it, Jody. So I'm curious what you think about these tools and how maybe it can help with writing. And Brian, same for you. You're saying you'd like to be writing more, but you're suspicious that I'd rather be a writer than actually writing. Fascinating. Yes, and what does that tell you? What does that mean? This isn't a rule, but I found it to be kind of a helpful expectation setting. And then we'll go deeper into the rules.
Yes.
Eric Ferrone, who we both had as a teacher at the Bovine Metropolis Theater, which shut down, but lives on forever in our spirits and in our creative endeavors in the world. I learned from him, and I've sort of redubbed it and made it my own, because I think in the war of art, like creativity is just kind of using everything around you and making it your own, right? Like
getting beyond the resistance. It's like the thing that you resist the most is usually the things you need to do.
Dang it. So uncomfortable. Good thing I'm a nervous system ninja and can deal confidently with the uncomfortable, the uns of life. My goodness, they are uncomfortable. And what Eric taught me, and I'm paraphrasing it now and making it my own, but like level 3 fear. And there's 3 levels that he would watch people progress through improv, because it's scary. The uns of life can be scary, unknown, uncomfortable, unwanted, right? Writing. I want to be a writer. I want to write. I don't have time. I do. What are people going to think? All of those fears in level 1 fear, it's scary. You don't know what's going to happen and you're ineffective. Level 2 fear, it's scary. You don't know what's going to happen and you're effective. But here's the magic that Eric opened up my eyes to. And it sounds like you got to as well, Erica. Level 3 fear. It's scary. You don't know what's going to happen. And that's exactly what makes it fun. And so, Scott says the unknown is a blast. He has a lot of reps as a blues musician and a motorcycle racer. You may or may not, Scott, think all of the unknown of life across the board is a blast. I don't know, maybe a scary phone call that's unknown with bad news, that may or may not be a blast to you. And so I like this idea of like, we're always vacillating through the different levels of fear.
We are.
Right? Yes. In some contexts of life, I'm in level 3, and some I'm in level 2, and some I'm in level 1. Can you relate to this?
Absolutely. And it's when he talked about those in class, it really did help to know that there's more to this. This is where I am now. And there's hope to get to another level. I was waiting to get to level 2, and moving on up. It just gave hope that, okay, there's possibilities. There's not something wrong with me. It's just new and different. And I'm feeling nervous and afraid and then I think in level 2, you get a little bit more excited. And then level 3, it's like, you're just waiting so much for that unknown and the free fall and the places you go that you can't go when you're so structured like I was in the beginning. Couldn't have gone there.
Level 1 and 2, like I see level 1 and 2 like a lot more rigid and less fluid, and level 3 is more fluid. And I had another fun thought in there somewhere from what you were saying, Erica.
It's okay. You've been up since 3. It's okay.
She's so good at giving me lots of grace.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So it's awesome. It's awesome. Brian, Scott, everyday conversation could use some serious work. Oh, I don't know if I'm making this up, but what I think you're saying is that when you're on a motorcycle, when you're a blues musician, you're in level 3 fear where it's fun. And everyday conversation, maybe a little more level 1, level 2 fear where it's like, okay, effective or not, but it could be a little or a lot more fun. I think that's what I'm saying. And that's a great example of how we can be in multiple levels at the same time. And now the thought came back, celebrating. If you're here, you're already in level 1 as a life improviser. At least you probably are in level 2 in many areas across the board of your life, and even level 3 if you start looking for that. So I really liked, as a rule, but not a rule, the expectations of the levels. Sometimes it's going to be an effective, fun, but the unknown relationship is always going to be sort of changing. But I think the percentage can just grow.
Yes.
In the level 2 and 3 time more over your life as you practice the reps and the
totally
rules.
Agree. Yeah. And I can relate when he was talking about conversations, because as an introvert, conversations were always really difficult for me. I could do them, but they weren't my swing zone. And then learning how to use like the yes and some of the principles of improv helped me to do that. To be more fluid in my conversations and not make them too rigid or out of, where did that question come from? It helped to move that along, just having that structure behind it. Yeah.
So yes, and sounds like it was a good tool for you in everyday conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I am like a little there, eye contact. Did you see that, my friends? This is improv in the moment. Eye contact.
Yes.
She's an introvert, identifies as, and I identify as an extrovert. And so I want to talk for a minute about that because it's related to the everyday conversations, social anxiety, and yes, and as well as the other rules. So improv for introverts is what you're all about. And I want to hear more of your thoughts around that.
Okay. Well, being an introvert was something interesting that I took the first class in the first place and was so free in it and had fun. I think my authentic self was coming out. What I have found is that a lot of improvisers are introverts. They just don't present that way. A lot of comedians are, public speakers are. I've known a lot of public speakers, and a lot of them, you get off the stage and they're more quiet. And so an introvert really is someone who, I will speak for myself. I take in information, I take it in, I observe a lot. I feel energies, I feel what's going on. And that's how I move through this world. And then when I'm with a crowd of people for any length of time, I need to sort of go back, be alone. It can even be for 30 minutes, kind of shake off that energy a little bit, regroup, and then I can go back in. So when you think of an improv class, you think of like a big group of people and they're all in the class, and everybody's jumping up and being funny and loud and all of that. And had I started, that might have freaked me out a bit, because I would have thought, well, I'm just out of my league. And in fact, my first class down at the Bovine Metropolis Theater was probably 90% guys, younger guys in their 20s probably. And I think there were 4 girls in my class. And I went in there in my mid-40s thinking I could be all y'all's mom, it was just like crazy. And I learned so much from them, and I think they learned from me, and it was a nice contrast. It ended up being that. But it was quite an ordeal, like to get the energy there and then kind of calm down afterward. So when I started teaching classes, I thought, I want to gear some of my classes toward introverts, because I just felt like there's something about they would identify with that word, and they're going to be okay with this, and they're going to go in and kind of know what to expect, especially having a teacher that is one. And so I started teaching the classes. I teach the same curriculum, but the energetics of the class is different. I don't know, it seems like they feel more free to ask questions and they're understood. And if they get stuck or anything like that, it's all okay. Just like any improvised class, but it's a little bit different. And so I've had so many of my students do that one improv for introverts class and then go on to take other classes. And they said, I would have never taken more classes had I not started here. And then they felt comfortable in the other classes. Because I tell you, if you walked in on an introverts class, after 10 minutes, you wouldn't know they were introverts because there's a lot of laughter and a lot of camaraderie. So it's a very interesting tool to come about improv from that direction.
So it sounds like if you're an introvert, keep improv on your list of options to enjoy your life more, because it isn't for introverts versus extroverts. It might affect people differently. Like there might be more of a barrier or a perceived obstacle for an introvert as opposed to an extrovert. I got into improv because I hung out with a friend that I hadn't seen for a while, and she was really funny. I'm like, what are you doing that's different? She's like, improv classes. I was like, great, where do I sign up? Like there was no resistance for me. And I think that's the difference that I see, the main one between introverts and extroverts. In introverts, there's like a bigger barrier of resistance, maybe.
I think a lot of processing goes with it. And where am I going to fit in? And it just, because we introverts, I feel, take in a lot of energy. And so to put yourself in a place that you perceive is going to be, they're not going to get me, there's too much energy, it can be a barrier. If you sort of step into the shallow end and sort of, get your toes wet and all of that, then there's more of a welcoming of it, sort of that perception of like, I feel welcome here. And it kind of levels the playing field. And when I have a class that's part introverts and part extroverts, which by the way, you don't have to identify yourself when you take the class. When I have a contrast there, it's really beautiful because it helps the introverts sort of maybe open up and express more, and it helps the extroverts come here and engage more. It's a beautiful blend.
It's fun because I think what I hear you saying is the gas brake pedal mechanisms of the autonomic nervous system of those two different types of people can help support one another, right? Like as an extrovert, I'm way gas pedal sympathetically driven, like blah, 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 and it does me well to learn how to take my foot off the gas and slow down. Even though it's challenging for me, I really benefit, and some of my nearest and dearest people are introverts. And while it's painfully slow at times, it's also so life-giving. Mm-hmm. And then, like you're saying, they feed off my gas pedal and it helps them take the foot off the brake and go a little bit more in their engagement with life.
Yes, very organically. It's sort of like the play on energies of just like, oh, what's happening? And it just happens. It's beautiful.
Life is such a way of balancing itself out. Yes. It is beautiful. Yes. We got a couple comments. Jody had a question, and Chelsea, hello. Hi. Yay for introverts. Introverts are used to being quiet, watching, and listening. Very important skills for improv and life.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's something I've had to really instill every day, work hard at. Wait, slow down, watch, listen, be present. Jody's saying introverts need time to digest situations. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm really not, I don't know. I need time to digest too. And I'm seeing more and more the value of that. I think I've been so extroverted my whole life. As I'm learning to slow down, I'm learning more the value of introverts. Mm-hmm. And introverts, extroverts, like improv is for you. Abdul Rahman, thank you for the hearts and love. And then Jody had a question or a comment. Is uncommon for some to think of a response positively with fun or joy rather than just feel the automated response? Do you get what she's saying? Because I don't really get it. so
Not
much.
quite.
Jody, if you want to clarify, we would love that.
Yes.
And I'm
It's
sure I
intriguing.
could, yeah. Okay. Yes. And I want to tell you the number 1 and 2 reasons why I think this is a great tool. Yes, and opens my curiosity, my body, and my sense of adventure in life, which includes all that is in life. People, positive experiences, negative experiences, and then the learning that comes from the negative experience. So I feel like yes and is like it opens me up versus no or but or some combination of the two just sort of like creates this posture in me that gives me headache and gut problems. Like I can directly link no but to a collapsed posture, digestive challenges, and headache issues. Just saying.
Yeah.
Right? And I say that to link it to the next thing, and then I want to hear what
Okay.
you have to say now. Absolutely,
Yes,
right?
thank you. Well, I was going to just break down because some people may not be familiar with yes and. So you have yes in life or on stage or in a class, whatever. So the yes means, yes, this is happening. This is the reality that was created on the stage. This is what's happening in my life. You know, your flight is delayed. Yes, this is happening. Like it or not, it's just a fact. This is happening. Then you get to the and that's where all your possibilities lie. This is happening, and my flight's delayed. What can I do? What are my options? Flight's delayed. I could go to the customer service desk, find out when the next one is. I can rebook. I can just go home. You have a lot of options there. But the biggest thing is that people sometimes stop at the yes, this is happening, and I don't want it, and they spend so much time fighting it that we can sometimes forget that we have options. And again, some things in life take a long time to even digest what's going on. And we still, at the end of the day, will have some options of like, what is the next step forward I can take? So I love that.
I love what you just said about and creates the open door to possibility. Because like this morning, yes, the flight's delayed, but I needed to be at the office by 10 and I needed to do this. And it sets us up for all this resistance when we don't add in the and. And there's already enough resistance when it comes to your soul expression, authentic expression, creative work in the world. Like it sounds like when we don't yes and, or when we yes but, or when we no but, we're actually creating a harder journey for myself through less possibility and more resistance.
Well put.
So here's where I see it a lot as I'm journeying with people on their healing, physical, mental health. This is better, this is better, this is better, but I still have this. And I'm probably irritatingly interruptive with them because it's so autopilot.
Yes.
Especially now that I'm thinking out loud, because that's how I digest information as an extrovert. If you're having some sort of pain point in mind or body, it's been around for a minute in your nervous system. And the reaction loops are well traveled. And it's making sense why I so frequently, right? 6 years of reps. People need a lot of reps of me saying, but, oh, yeah, and sorry, I forgot. And then they apologize. And I'm like, it's okay. And it's fine. And then like 3-6 sessions in, they start catching themselves and they do the yes, and instead of yes, but. And then when stakes get really high and stress is high and they're in a big challenge again, they revert back to, yeah, all these things, but.
Yes, it's true. It's true. It can hit there. And then you start, I think as you get down the road a little bit with this, it starts hitting your body. You're like, wait a minute, I've just hit my own resistance. Let's bring the yes and to this. And like you say, it opens up and we can move forward.
Can you think of an example in your classes or in your own life? Because Erica gives life work, not homework, but like go do this work for your life. And one of the life work exercises is yes and. And then people come back the next session and they report things that they've learned or seen. And I wonder if you have any specific examples of that.
You know, I have one example of, well, I have lots of examples, and they're all so good. And one gentleman that was in my class finally got the courage to ask this lady out. He said he was nervous about it, and he wasn't an introvert, and he wanted to ask this person out and put it off. And he said, and through that class, I was actually able to ask her out because I thought I'm going to feel, yes, I'm nervous, and I'm going to ask her anyway. They went out. They just got married. Yeah.
Yay!
So that was really sweet. And it was just that little tweak of just saying yes, and I'm going to do it. What is the worst that could happen? She'll say, no, thank you. Oh, wow. You know, just do it. It's all right.
I didn't realize until that example, like, yes, improv can change your life. Improv can actually change your life because he was nervous. And how many times have you been nervous? It's uncomfortable. So you stop. So instead of stopping, he kept going. Instead of the brake pedal, he hit the gas.
Yes.
And now he's married
Yes.
because of improv.
Yes.
Yes, and it is a great tool, my
It's
friend.
really sweet. Yeah.
Do you have any specific advice for people? How do I start practicing awareness and replacing, or just how do you have any tips or tricks or tactical strategies? Is it just awareness?
It is awareness. And I feel like giving you something to do when you face a situation. There's an example that I give in my class, and I've just woven it in there, and it's called My Favorite Thing. So it's an example of when something happens, or you're planning something and it's going to happen, you're going to go somewhere or whatever, and you don't want to go, you can plan in, and that it's my favorite thing. We were going to go on a trip. I'll make this brief. We were going to go to a trip to Egypt, and nothing in me really wanted to go to Egypt. We were going to go with a big group. There were a lot of early morning sessions that we're going to get in early before the big crowds, but when I say early, it was like 3:30 a.m. wake up calls. And we went to lots of different hotels, like 6 different hotels in 2 weeks or whatever. It was a lot of the things that I wasn't looking forward to, but I knew I was going to go. And so what I did was I just started making every difficult thing my favorite thing. And I thought, how can I make this my favorite thing? I will pack 4 outfits for this whole trip and wear them a lot, and I don't have to pack a lot. Yay, my favorite thing. Packed them. Early morning wake-up calls. I thought, we just arrived in Egypt. My system doesn't even know what time it is anyway. So yay, we'll get up early and that'll be great. And 6 hotels, are you kidding me? I love hotels, and we'll just change them all. And I had to make them sort of that goofy sounding for me to be able to incorporate them in. Because if I just went, okay, I'm just going to accept this. No, I had to get enthusiasm behind it. And that trip was great. And after about the 3rd day, I no longer had to tell myself, yay, my favorite thing. It just became okay. Everything became okay. And so that has been a life-changing thing for me.
And I use it all the time, my friends. I had a 5 a.m. flight out of San Francisco this morning to Denver. It was a little delayed. I had this meeting and I just kept saying, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's like this yes and to what's happening.
Yes.
And so I've actually already also started seeing with like patients, clients, students in our interactions, they come in with like this, oh, bad, terrible news. I'm like, yay, my favorite. That's your favorite, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, it really changes. And I think the emotion changes it. I do this with one of my sisters. I got a parking ticket the other day, and to meet the cop who gave me the ticket. So, and making it sort of goofy, happy like that, it really does help to change the energy in which you receive your favorite things.
And it changes your physiology, right? Like think about that for a second. You just got a parking ticket. What's your body's natural response? Oh, right? Like, oh, I don't know. What's your natural response? You got a parking ticket. Maybe yours is now my favorite.
It
but
is like
yeah.
yay.
Yeah. But
Everything is.
yeah, everything is your favorite. And so life becomes a lot more type 3 fun fear. When you've gotten a parking ticket, what would you rather have physiologically? Ugh, or like, yeah, oh, I don't mean to brag, la, 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 like playful, social.
Just post it.
This changes your physiology, my friends. So
Mhm.
watching your own yes and language instead of no but, yes and a way to spin off the yes and is start labeling things your favorite. I do it with my sisters and we are also having a lot more fun. Yeah. Yeah, just yesterday we had somebody else had a delayed flight and it was like, yay, we get to hang out at the airport for 2 more hours. It's my favorite.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so Jody, this is cool. It's uncommon for some to think of a response positively rather than just feel the automated response. Do you get it more now?
Yes.
Say more about it.
Yes. That it's more uncommon to respond in a natural way that you responded all the time. And really the consciousness of the world, something negative happens. It's like, instead of just making it be your favorite thing or be happy or being like, okay, this is an opportunity. It's new, wasn't expecting it. How can I make the best of this and save my mind, save my body, save my day? That I think that's what she's saying. That
I think so too. And it's actually interesting for me. It sounds like it correlates to the negativity bias that we have from 50 million years of evolutionary wiring. I'm going to survive more as a caveman if I assume the negative or the rustling bush is a lion, not a cute bunny rabbit.
That's right.
And so improv and lots of reps with the yes and this is my favorite. It really can evoke a change in our species. You are contributing to a change in your own individual automatic response, right? Like when I asked Erica, how do you feel about a parking ticket? You're like, yay, everything's my favorite. And it looks genuine. Like it's not a toxic positivity, slap icing on a shit cake and call it good. It's not that. She lives it.
Well,
and we all have SHIT inside. I'm not saying.
That's right. Yeah. And honestly, it does become, at first it's like, okay, that trip, I was like, this is my favorite thing. And then it becomes normal. And then it becomes everything in your life. And, some things are hard in life and some things are disturbing. If I see somebody hurting an animal, I'm not going to be, oh, it's my favorite thing. High five, lady, or whatever. I'm going to go, yes, this is happening. And these are my choices. It's my favorite thing to help this animal or maybe help this woman or whatever it is. There are ways to make that very positive and automatic in every situation in your life.
It really does promote resiliency. Like the yes says there is awful things in life and the possibilities. What can I do now? And that's the flexibility mindset versus the rigid mindset. That's the growth mindset versus the protection. Yes. It's the love versus fear. It's the safety versus threat. Like improv really just promotes more living.
And the creativity that comes from your and. You're surprised at the answers you get sometimes, at the options you have to handle those situations.
And like the creative life is always a creative force. And so you're really syncing yourself up to this greater life force energy that's within and around you, because we are natural creators in our lives. Nicole didn't realize she was an introvert. Good to see you, Nicole. Happy you're here. Until after I left restaurants, I always liked being in my space with purpose, behind the bar, in the kitchen, mise en place. If I had no purpose, I wasn't in a crowd. Fascinating. Can you relate to that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Scott, I was taught to replace but with and in high school.
Nice.
So you have a lot of reps. That makes sense that you are comfortable and think the unknown's a blast. Lots of reps, lots of reps. I'm glad you had that great teacher in high school. Nicole, does one drive for fee, fair rate, or other consideration? That's going to need some clarification for me.
Yeah, me too. Yes, and I'd love to learn more.
Nicole, talk to us about fee, fair, rate and what you mean. Lourdes loves the story about Egypt. Yes. It is my favorite. It's my favorite.
And you know, it's interesting because not long after that experience and that trip, I was watching Steve Colbert and Dana Carvey. It was during COVID, so they were doing their little interview, and they were talking about the same thing. And they both have improv backgrounds. And Stephen Colbert's was, is there something that's happening? I can do nothing about it. I'm just going to say, I love it. And Dana Carvey said, and my word is fantastic, as only he can say. And I thought, you know, and they stemmed from improv, and they learned this as well. And although there are a lot of improv classes you can take out there, and I recommend taking from all kinds of teachers, mine brings this to the forefront because it's if I'm only teaching improv for improv's sake, for me, that's not the part that changed my life. It was incorporating it, and then it got great on the stage, and then it got better in life, and then it got better on the stage, and it's a wonderful avenue. No matter where you take it, who you take it from, I encourage you to give it a go.
Okay, friends, because my PT background brain's always about pain. Could you imagine creating a new response to pain? This is my favorite. I love it. What was Stephen Colbert's?
Stephen Colbert's, yeah, I love it. And then Dana Carvey's was fantastic.
Fantastic. Next time you experience pain, mental, physical, fantastic. Fantastic. It's my favorite.
That's true.
It's going to kind of shock and shake up your brain.
Yeah, it does.
If you do it, please tell us you did. Please send feedback because I think I legit need to promote that as a tool.
That's good. You got it.
Okay, friends. Fantastic. Yes, and it's my favorite. Make your scene partner look good. How do we do this? And is it relevant to everyday conversation? So what does that mean?
Yes.
Make your scene partner look good.
Make your scene partner look good or support your scene partner. So in improv or improv games, your scene partner is whoever you're doing the games with or whomever you're doing the scene with. In everyday life, it's the whole rest of the world because everyone is your scene partner on some level. So when I was still in my freaked out mode with it, there were certain players in my classroom who I felt safe playing with. They were skilled improvisers. This wasn't their first rodeo. And they were able to, when I was struggling or they saw me with, deer in the headlights, they would move closer to me and they would sort of start breaking it down a little bit. And I don't even know if it was conscious, except that they moved in so that I could sort of bring myself back. They made me look good. And when I calmed down in that moment, then I was able to give them a response. I was able to hear them and then respond in the moment to them. And then they would respond back. And they made me look good. I made them look good. And then you have a chance to move forward in life. And in real life, oh gosh, it's just such a beautiful gift to give others. When you are able to help them look good, if they're in an awkward situation that I understand, or I've been there too, or like, if they're looking at you like, I don't know what they said, and I don't know either, but join them in that and to be able to make people feel comfortable in their discomfort is great.
Erica, I got to tell you, I really am so nervous with YouTube Lives. I get super anxious and like really scared and nervous. And
it's so good. This is like perfect. Do you know that you are doing a service every time you give one of these?
What?
Do you know you don't even look nervous?
What?
I know.
Because I totally feel it inside. Make your scene partner look good. Let's give it a hand for Erica. Oh my gosh. social anxiety is so real for so many people. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I experience it. I try not to say I have things. I try to say I experience them so they're less sticky in me. The reason why I'm bringing this up to make your scene partner look good is because Erica really brought this tool to life for me. Like, I learned about it, but it wasn't until the life work that I started really bringing it in to my everyday. So back to that negativity bias and my own like perceived inadequacies, shame, PTSD, self-loathing, hatred, all those things. It was my defense strategy was to constantly kind of prove myself or people please or hyperachieve, right? Like that persona. And what I realized through Erica's really life work, make your scene partner look good, right? All the world is a stage. Your life is a drama that variegates between comedy and tragedy. Everyone is your scene partner. And so rather than having to prove myself or go into these other defensive strategies, if I took the spotlight off me and put it on them, like, how can I like authentically support this person? Like in basketball, how can I give them the ball so they can score instead of me needing to score so that I'm good enough? It was so strange how it really reduced the frequency of my social anxieties. And I wanted to bring that up as my own thing. And as I had more reps, it changed my neural expectancy from other people. They're not out to get me. They're not going to hurt me. They don't mean to most of the time. Actually, most people really, I like believing this, they're good and they want you to look and feel good. And so that was a surprising benefit to me from make your scene partner look good. It reduced anxiety and an improved connection with everybody across the board in my life when I remembered to use it. Yes. It's not fully automated yet.
It will be. And it just is, it's so compassionate for people too, because we've all been in awkward situations. We have, so we need the support. They've been in awkward situation. So it's a way to bring a lot of compassion and connection that otherwise wouldn't be there. It's really beautiful.
And it's the compassion and connection that is healing. It is anti-inflammatory. It facilitates return and recovery back to your true self that you want to be in the world. Nicole, parking tickets are only for drivers. That's what she was talking about. So one acting.
I love that.
Okay. So Brian uses lovely. Jody likes fantastic. Nicole, you can try Jody's and Brian's lovely and fantastic for not having normal conversation. What is normal, by the way? I just started reading Gabor Mate's book, The Myth of Normal. Stay tuned. I'll probably bring that on in. KP, adventure is 1 foot in the air and 1 foot in the ground with a queasy stomach in the middle. That sounds like level 1, 2 fear to me, yes. My friend. This is so fun. I love my PT background. Did you know that walking is actually falling? Like when you are walking, your foot that's on the ground is actually behind your center of gravity. And so you're actually falling forward and then you put the next foot in front of you. Wow. So when you're walking, you're actually falling. And so KP, I want to invite you that adventure is happening all day when you're just walking. And maybe your stomach will start to get some reps that walking is safe. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah. I don't know. Could be.
Sure.
Reframe. Yes, and.
Yes, and.
Okay. Thank you for that, KP. Racing. Scott has provided many reps in physical pain and finding a joy in the new situation of being laid up for a period of time. Oh, it's true. There's opportunity everywhere, and we can use yes and. This is my favorite. Lovely. Fantastic.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. That brings me to another tool that I think is an Erica original. Yay.
Oh, yay. That's true.
Yay.
And yes, so in my classes, before any game, after we introduce each other, after a game, anything at all, we say, yay. That is, and I know it sounds obnoxious and it's really fun. Yay. If I'm introducing a game and you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure about this, I don't know, then we're starting to track back into that, right? But if instantly everybody's going, yay, it's like, oh, my body thinks, oh, I guess I'm happy about this. So it really does change things up, and it keeps the energy up in the room, and it becomes kind of like a joke in a way at times where, nobody's looking excited about this next game, and there's silence, and I'm like, yay, and then they all join in, and it's a wonderful thing. And I actually use it as an acronym in my work. It's yes and y'all, YAY. Yes and y'all.
Oh my God.
So I love that. It just brings that energy where it can. And where were we? Oh, I was just at a meditation retreat, and somebody said something. I almost clapped. I thought, no, I think that's not the place for this, because people are doing that. But it just seems like it's a natural response now. Everything is yay. And it's a great motivator and mood lifter, situation lifter.
And it's, again, one of those rules. If you don't know what to do, it's awkward, it's uncertain. Yay! It's actually such a good bottom-up regulation strategy, because you're using your body instead of your intellect to shift your physiology out of that like overthinking. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Which can scramble and lead us into freeze. It's like, just start clapping. Yay!
The eyes more wide open, the better.
Yeah, it'll wake you up and keep you out of freeze. Oh my gosh. Okay. Takeaways from today. What are you getting from this fabulous, very concrete set of tools from improv? Yes, and yay. It's my favorite. Make your scene partner look good. Tell us your takeaways. Tell us your insights. You can apply it to your soul's calling in life. We'd love to hear about that. How can you use this in your everyday conversations? Jody, it is just a delight to see you so much. These reactions are such a great way to bridge from negative to positive and letting that become your norm. 100%. And it's that fosters well-being, social well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, financial, spiritual.
It's like the springboard of calm is what I it's a way of living where you can still move forward, but in almost like a gliding kind of a way. And that feels so much better. When we were first married, my husband used to say, you are just fraught with worry. You worry all the time. And I am, and I was just a mess, just worrying all the time in my head. And the difference between that person 35 years ago to today is huge. It's very different to be incorporating things like this, to go, worrying doesn't do anything. I used to think it might, and it doesn't. So this is a way to move forward in life in a very smooth and easy going way. I just love it.
Erica, I want to say thank you, and I want to share my takeaway, because I hadn't ever quite linked that in yes and. It's the and that literally opens up the doors to possibility. And I don't know why sometimes my brain thinks in pictures, but I just saw this like cellar door sort of open up. And I've had a lot of historical past trauma stored in my gut. And like, I think really good at opening up and sharing, but like the gut, it's like, oh, that down there, that's forbidden fruits. I don't know that we want to call those tooth fruits. Like, no. So I just love, this is improv. I had no plan on bringing this up and making a rhyme about fruits and tooths.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Yes, and opens up the doors to possibility, whichever way your door swings. Like for me today, it was a cellar door of opening all this like dorsal vagal shut down, like trauma gets stored in here. Like you can open it up and like engage again with yourself and with the world and with life.
Nice.
This is the tightest, most effective tool that I can think of to help your social well-being, which has so many correlations to physical and mental. So I want to thank you for just sharing. I want to thank you for your grittiness, the commitment to stay with it for 6 years. Oh my gosh, that sounds torturous. And you did it. And because you did, we're here today.
That's right. It changed the trajectory of my life. There have been a few things that have changed it, and this is definitely one of the major ones moving forward. I'm grateful. So grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Takeaways, write them down. It helps you learn. Do you have a takeaway from today?
I realized after, going through my path, the really sacred work that this feels like. It's fun and it's learning through fun and games, and it's more than fun and games. It's a true, I would call it spiritual walking to, incorporate things to do when, especially in those difficult moments, and it makes the difficult moments better, and it makes the great moments even better. So I don't know. I think I see it in a package that maybe I hadn't quite realized yet.
I tease a lot about my brand mullet, science in the front, spirit in the back. I need them both to make it work. It's the same head, right? Like,
Right.
and depending on how I'm standing, you're either looking at the back or the front of me, and it's the same. And I really lean into science a lot. Like, there is evidence that people learn better through humor. Like if you can learn while laughing, it's stickier. And your spirit is also very present in that humor. It's the same head. It's all the same thing. So it sounds like you're connecting the thread of your soul through all of it, and how improv really was a big shaper.
Yes. So grateful for it.
Okay, my friends, Erica, if people want to take a class from you, it sounds like they need to be within travel distance of Denver, Colorado.
Yes.
And how can they find you?
I'm in Lakewood, Colorado. You can go to my website, ericateal.com. So it's ERICATEEL, ericateal.com. My fall classes, the registration opens on Thursday. So check it out. And you can read a little bit more about me and about the individual classes that I'm taking or giving.
Perfect. And if you can't get in touch with Erica because you live somewhere else, we encourage you, yes, and find some sort of classes. You don't need to perform. We just want to give you that permission slip.
Yes.
And yay to the rest of your day. Yay to the rest of your life. And we will see you next week. Oh, and if you have a comment or a takeaway, please type it in the chat. It'll help you learn. There was one from Jody. These reactions, I already said it. Yeah, but let's just reinforce it because it's that important. These reactions, improv, it's a great way to bridge yourself from a negative physiological state into a positive one through language, connection, calm, creativity, and play. So glad you were all here today.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
And thank
Chelsea.
you, Renee. I appreciate you. Yes. Didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. Chelsea.
Chelsea's here. Abraman. I'm so sorry. Abdulman. I love that I'm getting your name however I'm getting it. Nicole, favorite teachers make you laugh like me. Thank you. I am enjoying a lot more of my teaching these days. Thank you, Jody. CH Dante, good to see you at the end here. It's good. Très romantique. Je t'adore, mes amis.
Adios. Grazie.
Grazie.